Hello, welcome everybody. So, can you hear me well? Just send me a message just because I'm testing and I'm not sure if it's working well. Okay, perfect. All right, we have some more people join the party. I'm really happy that everybody's is joining our virtual event. Is the first event of the year for Figma Friends of Figma in Atlanta. And I'm really happy because it's just my first event that I'm trying to organize. Okay, my idea is to bring, of course, other speakers to talk with you guys. But in the meantime, whatever I can show you guys and teach you guys, I will be more than happy to do that. Okay, and today it's gonna be fun because I wanna show a little bit of my personal process when I'm building icons, but also since Figma launched the new variables, a lot of things changed, right? So, which means that you have a different ways to control the components that you're creating, and this brings a lot of a new like a applications that you can use, right? So this is gonna be really fun to do, and I hope that everybody can have some fun doing that. Okay, so I will just walk through, of course, because if I have to wait everybody to try to do the same thing, it's gonna take a little bit more time. Okay, so yeah, some people are already using the variables, right? That's good. Okay, let me read here. Okay, yeah, let's see. I will apply, and everybody can share later on a little bit of different things. Okay, so also happy 404 day, right? In Atlanta, we have that, right? Our phone number starts with 404, right? So this is the first event. We're going. I will prepare at least like a. I need to prepare at least one event every quarter, but I will try to do monthly. Okay. So if I cannot find, or if we don't have volunteers to be speakers, I will be doing a monthly event, showing you guys a lot of tricks on Figma. Okay. So there's a lot of things that I like to do, and I will be happy to share that. Okay. So just to give you also a little bit of my background, I'm born and raised in Brazil. My family is from Korea, but pretty much I lived most of my life in Brazil. I moved to US 7 years ago, so I mostly live it in Miami, and it's pretty much 2 years that I'm living here in Atlanta. I love the city. I love the vibe. I love because it is totally different, right? Like from Miami, and for our family, for me, my wife, the kids, are really good. The city, so we are super happy to be here. Okay, so whenever you have questions, feel free to just drop the questions in the chat. Okay, so I will be just answering them like a in the middle of the process. Okay, everybody ready to start? Good. Yes. Okay, so let's do it. So I will use this file. It's pretty much empty. There's nothing. So that's the fun part, because maybe I will go a little bit fast in some parts because of the time. But also I wanna show you guys a bunch of different things that I like to do. Okay, and there's a pro and cons of doing things the way that I'm doing, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so icons, right? I think everybody likes to organize icons, and it's important to use a library that is a consistent, right? So I will use. You cannot see the presentation. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I changed it. Okay. Let me see what happened here. So let me stop sharing and I will try to share again. So that's weird here. So can you see now my screen? Yeah, now it's working, right? That's weird because I was like doing like my whole presentation and you couldn't even see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was frozen. Okay, perfect. At least now it's working well. Okay, perfect. So that's the most important, right? We need to check and see that you guys can at least follow me. Good. So let's start. So building icons you can do in many different ways. I like to do in a way that is going to lock a couple of settings to users. So this is gonna keep a little bit more consistent the icons, right? So let's say that you have like a one simple icon like this. Okay, for now, I'll just add like a white color like that, just to be easy to visualize. And usually you just go and create a component, right? And everybody will be happy to see the component right there, right? So potentially you can just use like a library backslash, right? Like because it's going to create a folder if you want to do that. So there's many different ways to start organizing that. So to do that, let me delete that because I want to import a couple of icons. Okay, it's not working, right? It's working? No. Yeah, it's frozen again, right? Hmm. Okay, so that's super weird. Okay, that is frozen. Okay, so if it's frozen, we are gonna have a problem here. So let me see if I can share my whole screen, and maybe if I do that, uh, so let me see if I'm sharing my whole screen, at least it's gonna work better for you. Can you see my whole screen now? Yes or no? Yes, is working. Yeah, it's working, right? So if we have the same issue again, like probably I will need to change the settings. I don't know, but I think for now it's working. Okay, good. So so let's go. I will just bring all the icons that I have on this folder. Okay, just restart, and this is gonna place all of them here together. Okay, and having that, I will just create that as a component set. No, I will just create a multiple components in the first step. Later on, we're gonna create other like different ways to organize that. But for now, I will just create multiple components. So pretty much, they're gonna be individual components, right? Like they're not gonna be blended in a component set. Okay. So to make it easier for everybody to see the icons, let me just remove that fill color and I will change for a white color. Okay, so now it's going to be way easier for everybody to visualize that. Good. Okay, good. So it's working. Uh, one of the ways that I like to organize the icons is using sections, right? Because since they launched the sections, it's pretty good because you maintain everything organized, right? And it's easier to like drag everything together. And I will just rename that section to library. So everything that I have is under this library. Okay. So one thing that is important to check whenever I'm like working on icons, I like to check when I press enter if everything is scale, right? And also we have like two different layers. I don't know if you already had this problem in the past. It's not a problem, but it's the way that the libraries, different designers, they will organize their icons. And the problem, if you have like a double layers like this, is you're going to have like issues to change the color. So usually I recommend to flatten all that. So the command E is gonna help you. You see, like in this case, you have like a 3 layers. So usually, I always recommend you to do that because it's gonna create a little bit more consistency when you need to change colors in the future, right? And we are gonna change some colors, so it's important that those icons they are a little bit better organized, okay, to do that. So I think if I do that, let me see. I think I'm not sure if they're gonna flatten like a correctly because they are, yeah, they flat correctly. Okay, good. So pretty much I could do this, press enter, command E, and everything's flattened automatically. Okay, easy, right? So you don't need to do manually one by one the way that I was doing, but there's a pretty easy shortcut on that. Okay, good. So what is the problem of having this library? You know what is the problem? Other designers. That's the problem of this library because other designers, you cannot trust them, right? Sometimes because they do crazy stuff, right? I don't know if you are like this, right? Or if you work with other crazy designers, right? But pretty much, whenever like people are using icons, right? Like they're gonna pull that from the library, right? And the problem is that people are gonna resize them, right? In a random way, or maybe they're gonna press shift to maintain a perfect square. But sometimes, people are like a crazy, right? Like they're gonna adjust a little bit like this, and also they're gonna create sizes that I don't recommend you, right? Like a 26, 25, right? Like it's gonna be a little bit weird. So if you have people doing that, mm, I will, like I recommend you to review that. Okay, so what I will do that in this case is like a building another component that is going to hold all that information together for me. Okay, so pretty much if you think about, let's duplicate one. Let's duplicate the folder, right? So this by default is like a 2424, which is okay. And so if you wanna check, it's just like a child from those components, right? And you could frame the selection, right? So this is gonna create an icon that is like a 2424. So this will enable to create other sizes, right? Like, so if you want to use that to lock the size, is gonna be fine. But if you just change, it's gonna change, of course, only the size of the frame, not the icon, right? So you have to select the icon in order to maintain this organized, and you can resize that for 1616, right? So it's gonna be fitting correctly the shape of the frame, right? So we have like this one, we have uh, 2424, right? And what is like the next size, right? Like, so we did like a -8, right? Like, or we can do +8, right? It's gonna make 32. And so pretty much we can resize that, right? So some of you guys already know that you can do math here, right? Because Figma knows that we are designers. We are not uh, like engineers, right? We are not. That's why we just do that, right? Because we prefer to adjust icons, right? That's our life. Okay, good. Having that, now is gonna be a good time to organize them, right? So you can use this one to be the 3232. This is going to be my 2424, and this one is going to be my 1616, right? So having that, now you could potentially select all of them, and now we're going to create a component set. Okay, good. So having a component set, uh, this is going to be our really the icon that I want to use, right? Icon. Okay, and you have different properties. So I will just rename that property for size for now, which means that whenever I want to change the size, right, like they're going to use the size, right? So that's the thing. I don't want to allow people to resize. So in case they resize or resizing random shapes, this is not gonna be allowed anymore, right? So what you could do as well on the icon, if you want to make this centered, also is good because whatever like people resize is going to be always centered, right? So if it's 16 or 32 or 24, right, it's going to be always the same size. So of course, in this case, this one you should reset to make sure that everything is going to work well. Okay, everybody happy? Good on that? Okay, so this is the first way that I will do to make sure that you have like a really good library system, like for your iconography. Okay, so in order to change the icons, right, like under that, there's different ways that you could do that, right? So you could create like just a swap property, right? So the swap property, by the way, I don't really like the preferred values that they turn on automatically. I like the idea, I like the feature, but it should be off by default, I think, not on. So I will just create a new property that is going to be the icon, or if you prefer, right, like some people prefer like to use the glyph, right? So you can use that as well. So what I need to do is making sure that every icon that I have, they're going to be connected to that property, right? So they're going to be created like that. So if you don't like, I will recommend you to rename also that layer, because it's just a child. So it doesn't need to be attached to the name of the icon. So if you want to just select all of them and Command R, you can just type icon, right? So, and this is going to be the icon. So now that you see this, you have the control of like a changing size, right? Whenever you can changing whatever you may need as your icon, right? From your library. So before, I used to also hide all the icons from the asset, like the library. But the problem is that you cannot do that using sections. And if you remove from that, when you nested component, like sometimes it doesn't work really well. I can even try for you guys, because let's say that you want to hide everything, right? So let's say that you want to rename all of them and use like a library uh, backslash the current name, and you do that. So let me see. I think it's gonna maybe work. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna hide. Okay, that's cool. That's good. That is allowing me to do that. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so you can do that. So pretty much whenever you export your library, nobody's gonna be able to see the other icons, right? The only icon they see is this one, and from that they need to change one by one, right? So that's the idea behind that, right? Cool. Okay, questions about that? Because now I'm gonna start like going through the variables, right? That everybody wants to see that. Let me check if you have questions. So let me just change like this so I can see if you guys have question whenever I need to change things. No? Okay, cool. And everything's working. That's good. So that's the most important. So variables. There's many ways to do that. I'm not really fan of like the interface because it's so much information and sometimes it's crowded, right? Like, and usually you have to make this way bigger, right? Like to visualize everything, and we can do like some basic stuff, right? So let's do a very simple, right? I think everybody try to do colors, right? Because we are designers, we go for icons, we go for colors, right? We go for like the comfort, more comfortable areas for us, right? Like usually it's like that, right? And you have like a different type of variables. So I'm not sure if you already tried all of them, but we have colors, we have like a number or a string that is a text, and we have Boolean values, right? Do you know what is the Boolean values, by the way? Somebody in the chat? No? Okay, so Boolean values, if you are not aware about that, it's like a, yeah, true or false. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Usually it's like a, by default on coding is true or false, right? But you can use yes or no, you can use 0 or 1, whatever it is on Figma, because Figma will understand that, right? Because as I said, they understand that we are designers, right? We don't understand all those rules. Okay, good. So let's say that we want to build some colors, right? Like, so if you want to build colors, right, like you can have like a just like a, this is going to be our like a white color a little bit, so we can just build like a white, right? You can just build like a gray color, right? Like a gray 100, right? Whatever it is the color. I will just build like some random colors for us. Okay, so gray 200. Okay, and you can have another color a little bit darker, right? And let's say that you want to create, I don't know, like a red, right? Like a, let me just change a little bit just to not be so strong. And you want to make another one. So let me see if you go to like a little bit blue, right? Like so. Okay, so let's use some of those colors and maybe black, right? Like if you want to use like a black color, right? Like a, it doesn't need to be 100% black, but like a dark enough for us, right? To use in our system. Okay, good. All right, so if you have that, the same principle of hiding uh, components you can use for the those collections, right? So if I want to hide the colors, if I just use a dot or a underscore in the front, it's going to hide that collection, right? So people are not going to be able to see that. So I can create a new collection in this case that is going to be the icon colors, right? And in this case, if I want to create a color, right, I just type color. You can just have this value link it to the white color that we have in our palette, right? So you see all the colors that we added is on the dot color, but once you export the library, people are not going to be able to see uh, those colors, right? They are only going to be able to see the colors here. And also this is going to help you to create like a light or dark mode, right? Like if you never try to do that, like whatever you prefer to do, like a light or dark mode, you can just like use that, right? So maybe the light is going to use the black color and the dark mode is going to use the white, right? Because the background is going to be black, right? So this is like just applying the colors, right? So if you want to later on, right, like assign the colors, you could assign them here, but I will always assign colors on this level because this is already nested, right? So I want to make sure that if you have color, right, like on the library, right, like so you can just have all that. And that's the thing. By default, those icons are using, right, the first column, which is the light. But if I want to change for the dark, they're going to be all dark colors, right? So for every icon now, you're going to be able to change that if you want. Okay. So this is the first application that you can use for colors. I think this is like a simple way to start having some a little bit more controls on that. Okay, so let's go and do another thing, because let's say that you want to get a little bit more complex on your library, and now you want to make that library to be saved on the variables. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a collection with icon glyph. Okay, so all the names of the icons that we have, I want to transfer those names to the variables. Okay, I'm not going to do all of them because it's going to take us forever, but there's better ways to automate a little bit some of those things that we can do. If you are interested on that in the future, I can maybe share that, a different process to do that. But that's the thing. There's so many things that you can do that, like I'm just trying to consolidate a lot of things to fit in 1 hour. Okay. So we can build strings in this case now, right? So if I have the name of this icon, I want to have this as a value, right? Like but in this case, maybe without the library, right? Like I in the front, I just want to have this as the name. And for now, I can have the same name, but we can change that. And this is going to be fun to change as well. So let's see that I want to have, let me just add a couple of them, right? Just to make sure that we have some of them to work with, okay? And so let's say we have the key, right? And I want to add here the key. Which one? What else we could add? Maybe the search, right? The search is going to be good to have. Okay, so let me just delete that. And this one as well. Let me just delete that part. And add another one, the last one, okay? So we have like 5 for now. Let me delete that. Boom. Boom. Okay. So we have that. So maybe that's the thing, this collection as well. Maybe I want to hide that. I just want to use a dot in the front. So people are not going to be able to actually see all the icons, right? Or use that library directly. Is going to depend on the project, right? Like, so that's why I'm just like doing like this for now, just to have an example. Okay. So we have the icons, we have the colors, and maybe we can even create a new one, a new collection, right? For icon sizes, right? Like, so you're gonna say, Juno, but it's too many collections. I know, but that's the thing. It's gonna live in one single file, right? Usually when I'm working on design system, I have one file only for icons, right? So all the information that we have is gonna be saved on this same file, right? In some way, you can transfer, right, like the variables from one file to another, but you cannot edit them really well. There's a couple of things that doesn't work super well. I tested many different ways, and sometimes it's like it's painful to do all that. Okay, but anyways, like that's the thing. So let's create the sizes, right? Like, so now I want to create a couple of sizes. We created only 3, right? Like, but let's see that I want to have 5 sizes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And the middle one is the 16, right? So let's say that we want to call that medium, right? And this is gonna be maybe 12, right? We can do that just to have another size. And this could be small, right? And this is going to be 8, and this is going to be x small, right? So this is going to be my large size. So we can go for the, actually, let me see. We started like the medium. Yeah, actually the medium should be the 24, right? Like, because we started on that. Okay. So 32, right? And so let's make 40. Okay. So this is the extra large. Okay. So we have different size. So the medium is going to be the full size, that is 24. And we have like two extra sizes, right? Smaller and bigger than the medium size. Okay. So that's another thing that we can do. We can assign different sizes for our icons, right? And we have the colors already. We have some sizes, and we have also, let me see, the names of the icons, right? So this is going to bring us to a couple of things that we can do now, because the good thing about variables is that you can also assign like a values to the variants, right? That you can see here. But you cannot assign values for those elements, okay? So there's the pro and con, because there's a couple of things that now if I turn that library into a component set, right, to do the same thing that I'm doing here, Figma is not going to show the icons, right? Only if they fix that. But I remember that every time that I have to do that, they're going to only show a list of items, not the icons, right? It's going to show like the list like that. Okay. So it's not very visual once they do that, because you have to pretty much search and you have to just guess whatever is the size, right? So it's not the best way to do. Okay, once I have that, now it's time that I'm going to turn that library into a big component set. Okay, so I can even like remove from the section. I can delete the section, because now I want to make that a big component set, because we're going to play with the variables in a different way. And in order to be able to access that, as I mentioned, we need to make sure that they're going to be, each one of them, they're going to be a variant. Okay. So I will select that, combine them as a variant. So we have like this huge library, right? So if you see the library, so that's the issue. If you have the dot library, right? Like, so they're not gonna be very good to visualize the names and all the stuff that we have. So let me just rename here to icon library for now. And now like pretty much you see like the system that we created is not working, because it's pretty much using another way with the variables. Okay, so that's what we are going to explore. So pretty much this one that we created first, we're gonna kind of ignore for now, and we're gonna use the new library. Okay, and this I can call the glyph again, right? So we are gonna have the icons here. Of course, you can reuse them, right? But as you can see now, because they are variants, you cannot see visually the icons. I think they should change that, right? They should just give us a preview about the whatever like a variant that we have, but they don't do that. So that's the thing, the downside of like having icon library like that. Okay, cool. Okay, so that being said, let's try to make some buttons. Okay, I will just make a button, and from the button I will just link all of them to the variables that we created. So to do that, I will create a new collection here that is going to call buttons. Okay, so once you have the buttons, what is the problem with this? Because we have to assign a couple of information here, right? So one button, maybe they have a text color, right? We can just add like that. Maybe you have like a background color, right? So if you want to use like this, what else we have on our button? We have a label, right? So I can have a string that is going to be my label. What else we have? We have the icon, right? So the icon on the button. I want to create a new string that is going to be the symbol of the icon, right? The glyph. And also I can create the size, right? Like a icon size. Okay, something like this. Cool. So once we have that, we can just assign a couple of like values from our library. So I have a white color. The background color could be, I don't know, like a red. So the label could be hello 44. And the glyph, so that's the thing. We can link that for the glyph library, you see? So if I want to have like a button that's going to be a search button, I can just assign to that. And if I have a size, right, I can assign to the size, right? So by default, I will use the medium size. Okay, cool. So that being said, now that I have an icon here, right? And you can see that you have the symbols here for the variables. We can assign a couple of those variables to the icon. But let's create the label, right? I will just type here label. Okay, so this is too big, of course, for like an icon, right, for a button. So maybe this we're gonna reduce that for maybe 1616, right? Like I want to use a small for now. And this, so that's the thing. Like currently, you cannot assign sizes or names of like a fonts on variables, but you can use text styles, right? If you want to use text styles for like a small, medium, large size, whatever, I will do that. But for now, if you don't have that, it's all good. It's not going to change much for us right now. So I will just make an auto layout, very simple. I want to, change this for 8, okay? And we can have like a maybe like a 16, 12 space. And let's add a few color, right? So if you want to use some of them, it's good. Whatever color you want, it's going to be already linked to the red color, but it's not exactly the color that I want to link. Okay. And this one, I will just use like a 16 for the, or even more, right? 24 for the corner radius. Okay. So the red actually shouldn't be the red, right? Like we need to assign that to the different name that we already created here, right? Like because we have already the BG color here for the buttons, right? So this is just like a token that is linked to the red, right? So if I click here, it's going to be linked to that color here. So if I change here now, it's going to be blue, right? Or it's going to be red again, or it's going to be gray, right? Because this is actually controlling our button now, okay? So the text color, right? If you want to assign a color as well, you can just like go to the text color. So the text color is going to be linked now to this one. And here, that's the thing. One of the interface sometimes is like a very confusing, I know, for some people, but it's right here where you apply a variable for the text. Maybe they should have all these commands, right? Like a together, right? Like because it's a kind of like a all the settings that you can do for the text is a kind of distributed, right? Like a here, here, and here. Or maybe they should change the color a little bit, right? So people are gonna be a little bit like easily to identify those things. So for now, I can just use the label here. So once I click here, it's going to use the text that I assigned it there, right? So it's the hello 44. Okay, cool. So just to make sure, are you guys here? Like, are you guys watching or are you guys bored? Just to make sure, because we have 15 minutes left, but I think I will need like just maybe a couple of extra minutes if it's good for you guys, just to make sure that you guys are good with that. Yes or no? Yes? Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Anthony, for that. Okay, good. So you have that. And we have like the text color, all the stuff connected. Let me see if it's something else missing. the icon size, right? Like and the glyph. So I will select the icon, and now you see that is the search icon that I selected. So I can just go here and use the glyph, right? This is the variant that they should select. If I click here, now is going to be the search, right? And the size itself, because you have like a width and height, you may need to apply twice, right? Like for the icon size here and for the icon size right here. Okay. So now you have a small size for the icon. You have the glyph that you can just change, right? From here, right? And you have your button pretty much working well now, right? So let's say that you have this button, and this we can call like a medium button. Okay, so that is the default size. And now let's say that I want to create another button that is gonna be the large size, or could even be like a other type of buttons, right? Sometimes like you have like a that is like the primary button or secondary button. So you could do the in the same way like just that. But the only thing is because if we're using primary, secondary, or tertiary button, pretty much the sizes they're going to be the same. I just want to do a demo that you can just see different sizes for those icons, right? So here now we need to make sure that we are going to select this for other mode, right? That's two different things. We can create them as modes, and we can create that as different folders. So let me think about here what will be the best approach. I think I think the best way will be doing like a primary and secondary buttons as columns. So you can have both words, right? So it's like let's say that the secondary button is like something like this. So pretty much you can just come here, right? And select the secondary, right? And this is the primary and the secondary button, okay? So if you change the secondary to be blue, it's gonna be blue. And for now it's gray, and this is like a cancel, whatever it is, right? And you can just change the icon for an eye, okay? So you have that control. But let's say that you have to create a larger button, right? So what I will do is using the same variable collection to do that. So in order to create a folder, you can just type a button, right? Like a button in one of those variables and use a backslash, right? So I will just use button medium, let's say like that. Okay, so it's gonna create a folder now, right? As you can see. So I will just drag everything under the button medium. So if you go to the folder, you're gonna see all the buttons over there. And now you can duplicate that group, right? And once you duplicate the group, you can just create like the large, and they have pretty much all the same like values, right? Because they just copy everything. So it's gonna make our life just easier, right? So let me just duplicate here because it's gonna be easier for us to adjust. But for now, this is like a let's say that we wanna create account, right? So this is not going to change in any place because I never assigned the large button to this one, right? And this is like a sign in, okay? Okay, let me change that. It's going to be blue. This is going to be gray 100, okay? So just to make something different. Maybe it's not going to be the best contrast with the white color, but that's the thing, we can change, right? Like we can change to black. It's not gonna look good, but or we can just keep white and we can change the color of the gray 100 later. Okay, and also because it's large, I want to use like a medium maybe size for icon, right? and this is gonna make like this a little bit bigger. So let's go back here. So I have the 16 that is using the medium size, and I want to now assign to the large size, right? So large size, come here. Perfect. Now is following exactly that variable, as you can see, right? So I will do the same thing here. That is going to be 24 and 24, right? And you can change the variable right here, right? Easy, right? You're going to be happy to see that. And now, as the same thing, right? For the label, I just assigned now the label for the large button, right? So let me just move here quickly. And this is going to be also my large button as well. So let's check the glyph of the icon, right? Because this is like a linked to the medium. So I want to assign that to the large one. And this one, that's weird. That is, I cannot click here, right? There's a bug probably because you can click, right, to change, but here I cannot click. So I'm gonna just unlink that and select this. So to see that is different, of course, we can just change for other buttons, right? So you see that the control that you have is much better, right? But also now we have to change the colors, right? Because this color, that is the medium, right? I want to have the BG color for the large one, and also the text color, right? I want to have the text color for the large one here. So the same goes here, right? The background color for the large. So the contrast not the best, right? But we can change, right? Good. So it's working. So if I go to the color, right, and I didn't like this, I want to make this everything a little bit more darker, this gray and this gray, right? Like it's all good. We can do that, right? So you control everything in a spreadsheet, right? So maybe like a financial people are gonna be designers in the future, right? Because they love spreadsheets, right? So and you're going to be able to do all that, right? So you can just create all this, and all those things that we have now, they are controlled by this, right? This new system. So we have like the buttons here, and we have like the primary and secondary, right? Because now you can just select like the secondary or the primary button that you want to use, right? And so let's say that now I want to create maybe a component set, right, for the buttons. So this is going to be my button. So here, so we have a couple of things, right? Like maybe we should create two different variants, right? One is going to be size, right? So for the size, those ones are the medium, right? Medium. And those ones are the large size. And we can just have the different types, right? So this is going to be my type, and this is like our primary button, and this is like my secondary button. Okay, so whenever you want to use now, like pretty much they're going to be large or medium and secondary, right? You are going to use that on your design. But whenever you need to change, you're not even going to change here, right? You're going to just come here on the variables, whatever you need, size, buttons, whatever it is, you just come here and just edit whatever it is, right? So even the copy, one of the things that I really like it is because you can assign to different places, right? Different tables. So let's say that you have like a translation table, or if you have like a specific copy for like a UX writing people, right? Like they can just uh, add all the different text they want to test on the design to see, and you can just assign the values from here, and you have all this copy right on the buttons. So these also help you to keep consistent, right? Like because let's say that is not sign in, right? Like every button should be login, right? Whatever it is. So it's going to be logging automatically on all the buttons that you have, right? But you're not going to be doing like manually all these changes, right, in the future. Okay, A question, but could you change the label from the sidebar, or have to change in the, yeah. So that's another thing that I don't really like from Figma right now. Okay, because right now, remember that most of you already like use it, the text property, right? So the problem is that you have to select if you want to have text property or variables, right? I think this is something that they should merge in some point, because I could have the text property here, but maybe if I could assign that variable maybe here, and you can give the flexibility for people if they want to just type or if they want to use the variables, right? Like to change the text, because the way it is, right? Like if you see here, you can detach and type, but it will be great if there's maybe another logic to do that, right? Because it's a little bit confusing, I know. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. I think this is what I want to show as a process to build icons, save the information variables, right? Like using in a simple button, right? There's many different places that we can use the icons, right? But the button is like a classic example that we always need to use. And I think, yeah, there's many other things that you could apply, even like the radius corner you could apply in like to have that information, the variables as well, and can make it just more and more complex, but also give much more consistent to the design. Okay, so that's the most important. So there's always pros and cons on doing all that. Okay, good. Any other questions like about um, variables? I will be happy to answer if you have that. I don't know how many of all these features that I was showing you are already explored by yourself. So if you want to just share, tell me, will be great. Feel free to drop your messaging in the chat. Okay, nobody. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I hope everybody like it. The first event of this year, we are going to be hosting other type of events. So that's the thing that I was mentioning. Sometimes if I don't find a speaker, I will do by myself. I will teach you guys like other stuff, okay? Different things, how you use variables, or you do like, I don't know, prototypes, doing a lot of crazy stuff. I can share with you. So Tamara, the question about getting a copy of the recording, actually, I made the same question for Figma. So because I'm like a newbie on this whole platform and everything, I'm just learning. I think I'm not sure if they send automatically or if they save, I have to send on a message for you guys later. So just check on your email, okay? As soon as you're gonna receive an email from the event, and I will send another email if it doesn't comes with the recordings for you, okay? But also it's going to be really important for me because they're going to send an email just to review the event. So if you can just write what did you like it about the event or things that we have to improve, will be great. Okay, so it's the first one of the year. I will be bringing a lot of new content and bringing also other people for us. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I think we can see each other in the next event. Okay. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.